My name is Brooke. I'm 38 years old. My brother Dylan is 29. That's 9 years. But it feels like a lifetime. I saw it on Instagram. My little brother Dylan was standing in a suit, kissing a girl in a white dress. The caption said, Mr. and Mrs. Miller. It was yesterday. He got married yesterday. My hands were shaking so badly I dropped my phone. I picked it up and called him. Straight to voicemail. I called again. Voicemail. I called 10, maybe 15 times, until finally someone answered. It wasn't Dylan's voice. It was her. Haley. Stop calling Brooke, she said. Her voice was cold. Where's Dylan? Why? Why wasn't I invited? I heard my brother's voice muffled in the background, but he wouldn't come to the phone. He just let her speak. Haley laughed. It was a sharp, ugly sound. Listen to yourself. You're pathetic, she said. We don't want you there. This is our life now. Then she hung up. Just like that, 15 years of my life, everything I sacrificed for him, everything I gave up, it all shattered. I wasn't his sister anymore. I was just pathetic. But before I tell you how everything flipped and subscribe, drop a comment. Where are you watching from? My name is Brooke. I'm 38 years old. My brother Dylan is 29. That's 9 years. But it feels like a lifetime. When our mother died, I was 23. Dylan was just 14. I remember standing at the funeral, watching him. He was this skinny kid, swimming in a suit that was too big for him. He wasn't crying. He was just staring. He looked lost. Our dad had been gone for years, just a ghost in our lives. It was only ever the three of us. And then it was just the two of us. I was in my last year of college. I was studying to be a history teacher. I had a boyfriend. I had plans. I looked at Dylan, clutching a program with Mom's picture on it, and I knew in that single moment that all of my plans were gone. I dropped out of school the next week. The university said I could defer, but I knew I would never be back. I sold my textbooks. I broke up with my boyfriend. I moved us out of our expensive apartment and into a small, 2-bedroom place with thin walls. And I went to work. I got a job waitressing at a diner from 6 a.m. to 2 p.m. Then I had a bookkeeping job for a local plumber from 3 p.m. to 9 p.m. I would come home, my feet aching and my clothes smelling like coffee and grease, and I would check Dylan's homework. Did you study for your algebra test? I'd ask. Yeah, whatever, he'd mumble, his eyes glued to a video game. Don't whatever me, Dylan. Show me. He would sigh, this huge, dramatic teenager sigh. He would tell me I was annoying. He would tell me I wasn't Mom. He was right. I wasn't Mom. Mom was soft. Mom was patient. I was tired. I was 23 and I felt like I was 50. I wasn't raising a brother. I was raising a son, and I was doing it all wrong. But I was the only thing he had. I made a silent promise to our mother's memory. I will not let him fail. I will give him the life you wanted for him. So I pushed. I paid for his food, his clothes, his school supplies. When he wanted to join the football team, I paid the fees. When he tore his ACL, I paid the medical bills. I worked weekends. I worked holidays. I didn't date. I didn't see friends. My 20s just disappeared. They were a blur of double shifts, utility bills, and parent-teacher conferences where I was always the youngest parent in the room. Dylan grew up. He was smart. He was charming. And he got used to it. He got used to me being the safety net. He never had to worry about money. He never had to worry about where dinner was coming from. He just existed. And I just provided. He got into a great engineering school, the University of Texas. It was expensive. I remember looking at the tuition bill, the real one, not the financial aid estimate. It was more money than I had ever seen. I sold Mom's house. The house we grew up in. I had been renting it out just to keep it, but it wasn't enough. I sold it. And I sold Mom's jewelry. Her wedding ring. Her diamond earrings. I put it all into his education. He was sweet when he needed to be. He would call me from college. You're the best, Brooke, he'd say. I couldn't do this without you. Those words were my fuel. I lived on them. I ate cheap pasta and wore shoes with holes in them, but my brother was going to be an engineer. I had done it. He met Haley in his senior year. She was shiny. That's the only word for her. She was a business major who wanted to be an influencer. She posted pictures of everything. Her food. Her outfits. Her lifestyle. She looked at me in my 5-year-old sweater and she smiled. It wasn't a kind smile. It was a smile that judged. Dylan changed. He started talking about branding. He needed a better car. He needed a better apartment. He graduated and got a good job. But the money wasn't coming in fast enough for Haley. They wanted a life. They wanted a downtown condo. I had been saving. For 15 years, I had put away every extra dollar. It was supposed to be my retirement. My down payment on a life I hadn't let myself live yet. Just help us with the down payment, Brooke, Dylan said. We'll pay you back. I promise. So I gave it to them. But their credit was terrible. Haley had defaulted on a bunch of student loans. The bank wouldn't approve them. They won't give us the loan, Dylan said. He sounded broken. Haley was crying in the background. So I did it. I bought the condo. $350,000. My name on the deed. My name on the mortgage. It's just until you get on your feet, I told them. You just pay me rent, and we'll call it even. That was 3 years ago. They paid me maybe half the time. They were always a little short. But I kept saving. Dylan had always wanted to see Europe. Mom had promised she would take him. It was the one promise I hadn't kept yet. So I opened a separate account. A $529 college savings plan, but I told him it was for travel study. I put $250 into it every single month, without fail, for years. I didn't even tell him when it hit $30,000. Then $35,000. It was going to be his graduation gift, but then he met Haley. So it became his someday trip. I was his sister. But I was also his parent, his bank, his safety net. And he had just gotten married, on a sunny day without me. He let his new wife pick up the phone and call me pathetic. I was sitting on my old linoleum kitchen floor. The phone was dark in my hand. Pathetic. The word was just hanging in the air. It felt heavy. This had to be a joke. A sick, cruel, terrible joke. Dylan loved me. I knew he loved me. He was just weak. Haley had forced him into this. My hands were still shaking, but I pressed the call button again. I had to hear his voice. I had to hear him tell me this was a mistake. It rang once. Haley answered. Oh my God, she snapped. Her voice was like ice. What do you want? Are you obsessed? Haley, please, I begged. My voice cracked. It sounded small. Please, just let me talk to Dylan. This isn't funny. What is going on? What did I do wrong? There was a muffled sound. A hand over the receiver. I heard her say, babe, she's crying. It's so sad. Then her voice was clear again, sharp and loud. You're on speaker, Brooke. Dylan's right here. Tell her, babe. Tell her what we talked about. A long, terrible silence. It stretched on for 10-15 seconds. I could hear my own breathing. Then his voice. Brooke, just calm down. That was it. Calm down. Not I'm sorry. Not there was a mistake. Just. Calm down. Calm down. I whispered. Dylan, you got married. You got married yesterday and you didn't tell me. I'm your sister. I raised you. Why? Just why? I was crying now. Hot, quiet tears running down my face. I hated that they could hear it. Haley burst in. Why? You really want to know why? Because you smother him. That's what you do. You've been controlling him his entire life. Controlling him? I was so confused. What are you talking about? I paid his rent. I paid for his food. I paid his tuition. I raised him. Exactly, she shouted. You hold it over his head. You use money to keep him on a leash. You're not his sister, you're his weird, obsessive mom. It's creepy. All you do is hover. Did you pay this, Dylan? Did you eat Dylan? Who are you with, Dylan? He's a grown man. I couldn't breathe. I was looking for words, but they wouldn't come. I was just trying to help. You weren't helping, Dylan's voice cut in. It was stronger this time. Firmer. You do hover, Brooke. All the time. I'm 38. You're 29, Dylan. I whispered. I'm a grown man, he snapped. I don't need you checking in on me every day. Haley's right. I need my own life. We need our own life. I heard a faint click sound, like a notification. And then I heard Haley's voice shift. It got sweeter. Fakery dripped from every word. Brooke, we just want what's best for us. As a new family, we knew you'd make this a drama. We knew you'd try to make it all about you. I realized what that click was. She was recording this. This wasn't a phone call. This was content. She was recording my breakdown for her followers, to show them how toxic I was. You're recording this, I said. It wasn't a question. And speaking of what's best for us, babe, Haley said, completely ignoring me. Tell her about the Europe fund. Dylan mumbled something. Haley let out a loud, theatrical sigh. He's just too nice. That $35,000 you saved up for his little trip? We're cashing that out. My blood went cold. What? Dylan, no. You can't. That's for your future. That's Mom's. We're using it for our honeymoon, Haley declared. A real one. To Bora Bora. And we're using the rest to pay off my student loans. It's only fair. It's a wedding gift. From you to us. You can't, I said, my voice flat. It's a $529 account. It's for education. For travel. You'll You'll pay a huge penalty. Haley laughed. A high, sharp, ugly laugh. We'll figure it out. You're supposed to be so smart, but you're not, are you? You dropped out of college, remember? To work at a diner. That was it. She used the one thing I gave up for him as a weapon against me. I listened. I heard my brother, the boy I raised, say absolutely nothing. He didn't defend me. He didn't stop her. He didn't say, that's too far. He was a silent partner to my execution. We're blocking this number now, Haley said brightly. We're going to go enjoy our marriage. Have a good life, Brooke. Or, whatever it is you have. The line went dead. I sat on the floor for a long time. I wasn't crying anymore. I was still. I felt like I was outside my own body, watching a stranger. She called me pathetic. He called me hovering. They stole my money. They stole my past. They stole my family. And they were recording it. They were proud of it. I stood up. My legs were numb. I walked to the hook by the door and I picked up my car keys. I had to see his face. I had to see the boy I raised and ask him, eye to eye, how he could do this. The drive to the condo was 40 minutes. I don't remember any of it. I don't remember the traffic. I don't remember the radio. I just remember my knuckles were white on the steering wheel. I wasn't angry. Not yet. I was just empty. I was on autopilot. I had to fix this. This was a mistake. A misunderstanding. If I could just see him, just talk to him without her on the phone, I could make him understand. I could fix it. I had always fixed it. I parked in my spot. The one I paid the HOA fees for. I walked up the stone path past the little garden Haley was always posting pictures of, but never watered. I still had my key. The one I bought. The one I gave them a copy of. My hand was shaking as I put the key in the lock. Before I could even turn it, the door swung open. Haley was standing there. She wasn't surprised. She was waiting for me. And her phone was up. Horizontal. Recording. Oh look, she said. Her voice was pure poison, coated in fake pity. She's here. I told you she'd show up, babe. She just can't let go. I looked past her. My condo was filled with stuff. White boxes with big white bows. A brand new espresso machine on the counter. A giant 80-inch TV mounted on the wall. Flowers. Champagne bottles. Wedding gifts. Gifts from her family. From their friends. A life I had no part in. Dylan came around the corner. He was holding a glass of champagne. He was wearing a new silk robe. He froze when he saw me. He looked small. Guilty. Dylan, I said. My voice was flat. I was amazed it came out at all. We need to talk. Now. He doesn't want to talk to you, Brooke. Haley stepped forward, blocking the doorway. She pushed her phone closer to my face. The little red record light was on. You are trespassing. I am recording this. You are harassing us on our honeymoon. This is my condo, Haley. I said, my voice low. I am not trespassing. Haley let out a sharp gasp. A performance. See what I mean? My condo. My money. It's always yours. You are a financial abuser, Brooke. That's what you are. And we're not going to take it anymore. A door across the hall cracked open. Mrs. Rodriguez from 3A. She poked her head out. Her own phone was in her hand. Another door. The young couple from 3B. They were standing in their doorway, watching. Filming. My gut twisted. This was a show. She wanted this. She had probably called them. I ignored her. I looked right past the phone, right past her smiling, cruel face, and I looked at my brother. He was the only person in the world I cared about. Dylan. I said his name. I tried to put every bit of our history into that one word. The football games. The late-night homework. Mom's funeral. Dylan. Tell her to stop. Tell them all to stop. Let's just talk. Please. Just you and me. He wouldn't look at me. He stared at the new, expensive tile floor. He took a sip of his champagne. Brooke, just go, he mumbled. Please just go. You're embarrassing us. You're making a scene. Embarrassing them. That was the word. Not the pathetic on the phone. Not the creepy. It was that. You're embarrassing us. I had spent 15 years of my life making sure he was never embarrassed. I made sure he had the right Nikes, the best laptop, the brand new textbooks so he wouldn't be the poor kid with the dead mom. I worked 80-hour weeks so he would never feel shame. And I, standing on the doorstep of the home I paid for, was embarrassing him. In that moment, something inside me didn't just break. It set. It became hard. Like concrete. Haley was still talking. She was on a roll. Yeah, Brooke. Go. We want our independence. You get it. We don't need you. We don't want you. Dylan's with me now. He has a new family. I looked at her. I looked at the phone recording my face. I looked at Dylan, who was still hiding behind her, in his silk robe. I looked at the neighbors, who were getting all the content they needed. I didn't say a word. I didn't yell. I didn't scream. I didn't cry. I just turned around. That's it? You're leaving? Haley shouted at my back. She sounded disappointed. She wanted a fight. She wanted me to fall apart. I just kept walking. I didn't look back. I heard her word echoing in my head. Independence. I got into my car. I sat there for a long, quiet minute. The neighbors were still watching from their windows. I started the engine. Okay, I said to the empty car. My voice was perfectly calm. You want independence? You got it. My apartment felt different when I got back. It was small. The furniture was old. The kitchen floor was a peeling yellow linoleum. But it was mine. Everything in it was mine. I didn't pace. I didn't scream. I didn't cry. I went to the kitchen. I made a cup of black tea. I sat down at my small, wobbly desk. I opened my laptop. It was an old model. It was slow to boot up. I'd been using it for 6 years because Dylan needed a new MacBook for his engineering classes. I opened a simple text file. I typed one word at the top, Dylan. Then I started a list. I logged into my bank. I pulled up the mortgage statement for the condo. Primary owner, Brooke Miller. Loan holder, Brooke Miller. I looked at the HOA payments. Automatic draft, Brooke Miller's checking account. I typed, condo $350,000. Paid by Brooke. I logged into the 529 travel fund. Account owner, Brooke Miller. Beneficiary, Dylan Miller. Balance, $35,281.40. I saw the change beneficiary button. I saw the withdraw funds button. I typed, 529 fund, $35,281. Paid by Brooke. I logged into the account for his car. The nice, new sedan he drove to his new job. I looked at the loan document. Primary signer, Brooke Miller. Secondary signer, Dylan Miller. I was paying the $420 every month. He was supposed to pay me back for it. He forgot most months. I typed, car loan, $420 per month. Paid by Brooke. I logged into the electric company website. The internet provider. The water bill for the condo. All in my name. All pulling from my bank account. I typed, utilities, $350 per month. Paid by Brooke. I logged into my Netflix account. My name. My credit card. Who's watching? It asked. Brooke. Dylan. Haley. I checked my Spotify account. A family plan. I was the owner. Dylan and Haley were the members. Amazon Prime. My account. His address was listed as a family address for free shipping. I stared at the list. It was long. It was suffocating. This wasn't control. This wasn't hovering. This was life support. I wasn't the sister who hovered. I was the ground beneath his feet. And he and his new wife had just told me they wanted to fly. The next morning was Monday. I took a personal day. I called an attorney. A small firm, a woman named Ms. Evans. She specialized in property law. I sat in her quiet, professional office at 10 a.m. I didn't cry. I laid it all out. I bought a condo for my brother. My name is on the deed. His is not. He is living there with his new wife. They are not on a lease. They do not pay rent reliably. They have refused to let me in. I want them out. I want to sell it. She looked at the paperwork I brought. The deed. The mortgage statement. She didn't ask about the family drama. She just looked at the facts. Ms. Miller. Brooke, she said. Her voice was calm and firm. This is 100% your property. They are legally guests. And you are rescinding their invitation. We will send a formal notice to vacate. In this state, it's 30 days. If they refuse to leave, we file for a formal eviction. It's very clean. It's not complicated. Good, I said. What about the 529 account? His wife, she threatened to cash it out. Ms. Evans almost smiled. She can't. You are the owner of the account. He is only the beneficiary. She has zero legal standing. You can change the beneficiary to anyone you want. Yourself. A charity. It doesn't matter. Or you can withdraw the full amount. You'll pay a 10% tax penalty on the earnings, not the principal, but the money is entirely, 100% yours. It is not a wedding gift. It is your asset. I felt a weight lift off my shoulders. This wasn't a family drama anymore. This was a business transaction. I thanked her. I paid her retainer. I went home. I made another cup of tea. I sat down at my laptop. And I began to click. Click 1, the fund. I logged into the 529 website. Change beneficiary. I typed my own name, Brooke Miller. I clicked submit. Then I clicked withdraw funds. Transfer to Brooke Miller's checking account. A warning popped up about the 10% penalty. I didn't care. I clicked confirm. Click 2, the subscriptions. I logged into Netflix. Manage profiles. Dylan. Delete. Haley. Delete. I logged into Spotify. Manage family plan. Remove member Dylan. Remove member Haley. I logged into Amazon Prime. Manage account. Change. Password. Click 3, the utilities. I called the power company. Hello, I'm moving. I'd like to stop service at 123 Main Street, Unit 3B, on the 1st of the month. And where will the new owner be sending the bill? The woman asked. I have no idea, I said. I did the same for the water, the gas, the internet, all of it, all to be shut off on the 1st. Click 4, the car. I called the auto loan company. I am the primary signer on this loan. The secondary user is in possession of the car and is refusing to pay. What are my options? They explained. I could either keep paying for it, or I could report it. He can refinance it in his own name, the man said. I almost laughed. With his credit? Unlikely. Or you can surrender it, he said. We'll send a truck to repossess it. Let's do that, I said. Here is the address. Click 5, the condo. I called the top real estate agent in that neighborhood. Hello, I'd like to sell my condo at 123 Main Street. It is currently occupied. The occupants will be given 30 days notice. They will be difficult. I want to sell it fast. The realtor sounded excited. The market is white hot. A unit like that? If you price it to move, we can have it in escrow in 2 weeks. Price it to move, I said. My attorney sent the formal notice via certified mail. But I sent one too. I sent an email to Dylan and Haley. I attached the 30-day notice. I wrote, per our conversation, I am granting you the independence you requested. You have 30 days to vacate the property at 123 Main Street. The condo is being listed for sale, and a for sale sign will be placed on the lawn tomorrow. All utilities will be disconnected on the 1st. The car loan is in default, and the bank will be repossessing the vehicle. The 529 travel fund is no longer in your name. This is a formal legal notice. Do not contact me. Brooke. Then I did the last thing. I went to my phone. I opened his contact. I pressed block. I did the same for Haley. I blocked them on Instagram, on Facebook, everywhere. I turned off my phone. I sat in my small, quiet old apartment. And for the first time in 15 years, I breathed. I thought that after I sent that final email, after I blocked their numbers, I would feel something. I expected a big, rushing feeling. Maybe anger. Or maybe a bitter, ugly taste of victory. I thought I would finally feel powerful. I didn't. I just felt quiet. It was the strangest feeling. For 15 years, my life had been loud. Not with music or parties, but with a constant, high-pitched background noise of anxiety. Is Dylan okay? Did he pay his car insurance? Is he eating? Is he fighting with Haley? It was a non-stop hum of stress, and I had lived with it for so long, I thought it was just life. And now it was gone. The silence was absolute. It was so total that it was almost deafening. I would wake up in the morning, and my first thought wasn't, I need to text Dylan. My first thought was, I should make coffee. The 1st of the month came and went. This was usually my worst day. The day all the automatic drafts hit. The mortgage for the condo. The HOA fees. The car payment. The utilities. My bank account would drain like a bathtub, leaving me with just enough to eat pasta and cheap bread for the rest of the week. I logged into my bank account. I held my breath. It was a habit. But nothing happened. The big, crushing drafts, they were just gone. My paycheck was just sitting there. All of it. The silence in my bank account was louder than any screaming match. The first real sign that the world was shifting was the money. The withdrawal from the 529 account hit my savings. $35,281.40. I looked at the number. It cost me about $1,200 in tax penalties on the earnings. I found I could not care less. It was the sound of a steel door locking. It was my money. The money I earned, sitting in my account. I had never seen a number like that attached to my name. A week later, my realtor called. I had met her once. She was a fast-talking woman in a sharp suit. Brooke, you are not going to believe this, she said. She sounded like she'd just won a prize. We haven't even officially listed it. I showed it to one client from an open house down the street. They're a cash buyer. They just relocated from California. I sat down. Okay. They're offering full cash. $20,000 over asking price. They want to close in 10 days. 10. Brooke, this is the cleanest deal I have seen all year. All you have to do is say yes. 10 days. I thought about the 3 years of hell in that condo. The fights. The forgotten rent checks. The drama. The way Haley had redecorated and acted like she was a queen. The scene at the front door. 3 years of my life, a $350,000 anchor around my neck. And it could all be gone. In 10 days. Yes, I said. My voice was a whisper. Yes. Sell it. Sell it now. I signed all the papers digitally. I didn't have to go back. I didn't have to see it. I didn't have to pack anything. The notice to vacate had given them 30 days. They had used, maybe 20 of them. The day the notice expired, my lawyer and the realtor went in. They were gone. 10 days later, a huge number appeared in my bank account. After the mortgage was paid off, after the realtor's fees, after everything, it was just there. It was more money than I had ever had in my life. It was a number so big it didn't feel real. It felt like I was managing someone else's life. I only looked at Haley's Instagram once. I couldn't help it. It was about a week after I had sent the email before the sale. I was weak. It was a compulsion. I just had to know. Her page was still public. She was an influencer. She needed the views. She had posted the video. The one from the condo door. The thumbnail was my face. Pale, shocked, empty. The title was, "My toxic sister-in-law tried to steal our home." The truth. I clicked it. My hands were cold. I watched it. I saw myself standing there, looking so tired and small. I heard her voice, sharp and fake, brimming with self-righteous poison. "You are trespassing. You are a financial abuser, Brooke. You are obsessed." I saw Dylan. I watched him, hiding in the background in his new, expensive silk robe. I watched him sip champagne. I watched him refuse to look at me. I heard his voice. "You're embarrassing us." I felt sick. My stomach twisted. The shame was so intense, it was physical. This was for the world to see. This was my pain, packaged as her content. But then, I did something I shouldn't have. I read the comments. Haley had left them on. It was a fatal mistake. The first dozen were from her fans. "OMG Haley, stay strong. You're so brave. She's a nightmare. I can't believe she'd do that. So toxic. Good for you for setting boundaries." But then the tide started to turn. One person, a random stranger, wrote, "Wait, I'm confused. She bought the condo? Your name isn't on it. So, it's her condo? How is she stealing her own home?" Another wrote, "Financial abuser? Didn't you post a haul video last year where you bragged that she paid for Dylan's whole college degree? LOL. Make it make sense." Another, "Hold on. She's toxic because she doesn't want to pay your bills anymore? Girl, what? Get a job. The entitlement is screaming." Another, "I know Brooke from her old job at the diner. She worked 70 hours a week for years to support that kid. This video is disgusting. You're the toxic one, Haley." Haley was frantically trying to delete them, but they were coming in too fast. People were screenshotting her old posts, the ones where she bragged about her generous sister-in-law paying for their ski trips. Her brand was built on a lifestyle she hadn't paid for, and now the receipts were public. Her narrative was falling apart in real time. Her next post, a few days later, was a picture of her crying. It was a very well-lit, beautifully composed picture. "The amount of hate I'm getting is unreal. We are the victims here. We are being thrown out on the street by a jealous, bitter, and controlling woman. We are postponing our honeymoon to deal with this trauma. Please support us. Link in bio for our legal fund." I clicked the link. It was a GoFundMe. The goal was $50,000. It had raised $75. That was the last time I looked. I blocked her. I blocked Dylan. I blocked everyone we knew in common. I shut the door. But the world is small. My old coworker, Carol, the one from the diner, still lived in that condo building. She called me about a month after the sale. "Brooke? Honey, it's Carol. I wanted to make sure you were okay," she said. Her voice was kind. I saw the whole thing. The for sale sign. The eviction notice on the door. It was a whole mess. "I'm fine, Carol." "I am," I said. "I'm out." "Well, good for you," she said, her voice dropping. "Because it was a disaster. The new owners, they're a nice couple from California. They had to hire a junk crew. A professional junk crew, honey. The place was a disaster. They just left. Left everything. Food rotting in the fridge. Trash bags on the porch that had been ripped open by raccoons. The smell. Mrs. Rodriguez said it was awful. They smeared mustard on the walls, Brooke. In the shape of, well, you can imagine. Just childish, hateful. I closed my eyes. I felt tired. Not angry. Just so tired. But that's not why I called, Carol said. You heard about the car, right? No, I said. Oh, Lord. The tow truck came. It was last Tuesday. right in the middle of the day. Haley wasn't there. It was just Dylan. He came running out. He argued with the man, yelled, and the man just showed him the paperwork. There was nothing he could do. And Brooke, he just sat on the curb, right on the curb, and he put his head in his hands and he just cried, sobbed, while they hooked up the car and towed it away. The new neighbors were all watching. I pictured it. Dylan, the 14-year-old boy, watching his life get towed away. I waited for the pity. I waited for the pang in my chest, the mom instinct to fix it. It didn't come. I just felt cold. He didn't cry for me. He cried for his car. And Haley? I asked. My voice was quiet. Carol sighed. It was a long, sad sound. That's the other thing. She's gone. She wasn't there for the eviction. She packed her bags about 2 weeks ago. Maybe a week after the car. Left him. I heard from Mrs. Rodriguez, 3A, she knows everything, that she was cheating. That Haley was seeing some brand manager downtown for months. She cleaned out the apartment of anything new. The new 80-inch TV, the espresso machine, all those wedding gifts. Took it all. Just left Dylan with the old, stained couch and the bills. Of course she did. Haley was a parasite. She had found a new host. What about Dylan? I asked. Where did he go? I don't know, Carol said. He just disappeared. The day the sheriff posted the final 24-hour eviction notice on the door, he was just gone. Someone saw him walking toward the bus stop with a backpack. That's it. I hung up. I now had a condo paid in full. I had a full bank account. I had peace. Dylan had nothing. He had $18,000 in credit card debt. I had seen the statements he'd left behind, forwarded to my new address by the post office. All from new furniture and clothes Haley had bought for her brand. He had a repossessed car. He had an eviction on his record, which would make it almost impossible to rent a new apartment. And he had Haley's social media, which I heard from Carol, who loved the drama, was now all about my new journey of self-love and cutting toxic people out of my life, with pictures of her and the new brand manager in a glass-walled high-rise apartment. Their freefall was complete. He was finally truly independent. It was months. 3, maybe 4. I had moved. I used the cash from the condo sale to buy my own place. It wasn't a big, flashy downtown unit. It was a small one-bedroom condo in a quiet, older building by a lake. It had a big window in the living room that looked out over the water, and a small concrete balcony. It was peaceful. I paid for it in full. I owned it. No mortgage. No bank. No one else's name on the deed. Just mine. I was healing. I had spent my entire adult life with a knot in my stomach. A low-level, constant hum of worry. And for the first time, it was gone. I was sleeping through the night. I wasn't waking up at 3 a.m. wondering if Dylan was okay, if he'd paid a bill, if he'd gotten in a fight. I realized I had been living as a mother, not a sister, and not even as a person. I was just a provider. A resource. Now I was just Brooke. My new life was quiet. I was learning who I was. I liked black coffee. I liked reading history books, the subject I had almost gotten a degree in. I liked taking long, quiet walks by the lake. I was doing well at work. I was just living. My apartment was clean. My old peeling linoleum floor was gone, replaced by a simple, clean hardwood floor I had picked out. Then the phone rang. It was a Tuesday night. I was making pasta. Just pasta with butter and salt. I wasn't cooking for a 14-year-old boy. I was just making what I wanted. The phone rang and I didn't recognize the number. It was a local area code, but not one I knew. I almost didn't answer. I hated unknown numbers. For years, they were always bill collectors looking for Dylan, or his school, or his accidents. But I answered. Hello. Silence. Just breathing. A ragged, wet sound. Like someone was crying but trying to hold it in. Hello. I said again, annoyed. I thought it was a spam call. Brooke. My blood turned to ice. I dropped the wooden spoon. It clattered on my new, clean floor. It was his voice. But it wasn't. It wasn't the strong, confident voice that had told me I was hovering. It wasn't the cold, silent voice from the condo. It was the voice of the 14-year-old boy at Mom's funeral. It was small. It was broken. It was a voice I hadn't heard in a decade. Dylan. A sound came out of the phone. A sob. Not a cry. A deep, ugly, choking sob that ripped out of his chest. It was the sound of complete and total despair. The sound of someone who has hit the bottom. Brooke, he gasped. Oh God. Brooke. Thank God. You answered. I sat down. Right there on the floor. My legs wouldn't hold me. The 15-year-old instinct, the mom instinct, it roared to life. It was a physical thing. It was a dragon in my chest. Fix it. Make it stop. He's hurting. He's in pain. Find him. Fix it. Where are you? I asked. My voice was tight. I don't know, he sobbed. I'm at a gas station. On the highway. I'm using a friend's phone. His name's Mike. He's gonna leave me here if I'm not fast. He's mad at me. Dylan, what is going on? What do you want? She's gone, Brooke, he cried. Haley's gone. She left me. Months ago. She took everything. She was cheating on me. The whole time. The whole time, Brooke. She was just using me for the condo. For your money. I stayed silent. I let him talk. I lost the job, he said, his voice cracking. After the eviction. They said I was unreliable. I couldn't focus. They let me go. I have no money, Brooke. Nothing. The credit cards. There, it's so much. It's $18,000. They're calling me all day. They're going to, I don't know, they're going to sue me. He was rambling. He was falling apart. I've been sleeping on couches, he whispered. Mike's. But his girlfriend hates me. Then Todd's. Todd's kicking me out. He said I'm a loser. He said I'm a mess. I have nowhere to go, Brooke. I have nowhere. He took another gasping breath. I'm so hungry. That was the one. That was the knife. It twisted right in my gut. I'm so hungry. The 23-year-old who worked at a diner just to buy him groceries. The 28-year-old who packed him care packages for college, full of ramen and granola bars, so he'd never be hungry. He's hungry. Fix it. Fix it. Fix it. My hand was already moving. I was thinking, where is he? What gas station? I can send an Uber. I can get him food. I could see him. Skinny. Scared. Sitting on a cold, oil-stained curb at a gas station. Brooke, please, he begged. His voice was the smallest thing I'd ever heard. Please, I'm so sorry. I know. I know what I did. She made me. I never. I love you. You're my sister. You're my mom. You've always been. Please. I'm scared. I'm so scared. He was quiet for a second. I just heard him breathing, and the sound of a car horn in the background. Then the ask. The real reason for the call. Can I come home? He whispered. Not forever. I swear. Just for a little while. I can sleep on your couch. I'll get a job. I'll pay you back. I promise. I have nowhere else to go. Please, Brooke. Don't let me be on the street. Please. It's getting cold. I closed my eyes. The dragon in my chest, the mom instinct, was screaming. It was telling me, you are a monster if you say no. He is your blood. He is your boy. You are the only one left. You promised, Mom. I saw him. The hungry boy on the curb. And then, I saw another image. It was just as clear. I saw the 29-year-old man in the silk robe. I saw him standing in my condo, holding a glass of champagne, surrounded by his wedding gifts. I saw him, looking at me with pure annoyance. I heard his voice. You're embarrassing us. I heard Haley's voice and his silence. You're pathetic. We don't want you there. I thought about my quiet apartment, my little balcony, my clean floors, the peace, the 15 years I gave him, the 15 years of my life I could never get back, the college degree I never got, the life I never lived. I opened my eyes. My kitchen was clean. My pasta was waiting. My life was mine. My voice, when I spoke, was not angry. It was not cold. It was not emotional at all. It was just calm. It was the calmest I had ever felt in my life. No, Dylan. The word just hung there. He was silent. I think he thought he misheard me. He literally could not process the word. What? He whispered. B. Brooke? What do you mean? Please. No, I said again. Firmer. You can't come here. There is no home for you here. There is no here for you anymore. But, I'm your brother, he cried. The panic was rising in his voice. He was losing his last option. I have nothing. You can't do this to me. You're my sister. You did this, I said. My voice was so steady. I didn't recognize it. You made your choice. You stood in that condo and you chose her. You let your wife record me. You let her call me pathetic. You told me I was embarrassing you. You said you wanted your own life. You wanted independence. But I didn't mean it, he screamed into the phone. I was stupid. I made a mistake. A huge mistake. Please. Yes. You did, I said. And now you have to live with it. I am not your safety net anymore. I am not your bank. And I am not your mother. I am done. I took a deep breath. You wanted to live without me. Now you can. I heard a muffled sound. His friend. Dude, I gotta go. Now. No. Wait. Dylan screamed. It was a sound of pure terror. Brooke. Don't hang up. Please. I love. I hung up. I pressed the red end call button. My hand was shaking. But I did it. And then I went to my contacts. I found the unknown number. I pressed block. I stood up. I walked to the counter. I turned off the stove. I wasn't hungry anymore. I walked to my big window. I looked out at the lake. It was dark. The water was still. I sat there in the dark for a very, very long time. I was not crying. I was not happy. I was not victorious. I just felt empty and finished. The 15-year-old story was over. The 14-year-old boy I raised was, for all I cared, gone. He had died in that condo. This was just a ghost. And I was finally truly free. The thing they don't tell you about revenge is that the best kind isn't loud. It's not a fight. It's not a big, dramatic gotcha moment. It's not about making the other person suffer. The best revenge is just breathing. It's just living. It's taking all the energy you poured into them and pouring it back into you. After that last phone call, something in me was finished. The guilt, the obligation, that 15-year-old chain. It was gone. I had been carrying him for so long, I didn't realize how heavy he was. He wasn't just a person. He was a second mortgage on my soul. Every decision I made, from what car I drove to what I ate for dinner, was calculated around him. Can I afford this? No, Dylan needs new tires. Can I take a day off? No, Dylan's tuition payment is due. And now, I was light. I went to work. I had been a bookkeeper at the same plumbing supply company for 15 years. I was just Brooke, the quiet woman in the back office. The one who never took vacations. The one who always looked tired. The one who packed a sad lunch of a peanut butter sandwich every single day. But now I wasn't tired. I was focused. I had all this mental energy. I wasn't worrying about Dylan. So I started worrying about work. I started seeing things. Inefficiencies. Ways to save money. We were using an outdated billing system. I wrote a small 2-page proposal for my boss on how to restructure our billing, how to move to a new software. I didn't think anything of it. I just did it. He called me into his office. He was holding my 2 pages. Brooke, this is brilliant. This is really, really good. Why haven't you said anything like this before? I just shrugged. I guess I have more time to think now. Well, keep thinking, he said. 2 months later, our office manager, a woman who had been there for 30 years, retired. My boss didn't even post the job. He just came to my desk on a Friday afternoon. Brooke, he said, the job is yours. The promotion is yours. You've earned it. It was a raise. A big raise. It was more money than I had ever made. I had money. I had the money from the condo sale, which I hadn't touched. It was just sitting there, earning interest. And now I had a better salary. I had no debt. My tiny 1-bedroom condo was paid for. For the first time in my life, my money was my money. I started to buy things. It felt strange. It felt wrong. Like I was being selfish. The first thing I bought was a brand new mattress. I had been sleeping on the same lumpy secondhand mattress for 12 years. I went to a store. I laid on 5 of them. I picked the one I liked and I paid for it. In cash. It was delivered the next day. I slept on it and I cried. I cried for 20 minutes. It was so comfortable. And then I bought sheets. Sheets with a high thread count. Not the cheap, scratchy ones from the discount store. I bought a coffee machine that ground the beans. I bought a set of new, heavy white dishes. Not the chipped, mismatched ones I'd had since my first apartment. I bought a new robe. A soft, warm fleece one. Not a silk one. Just a comfortable one. I bought a plant. A big, leafy fiddle-leaf figure. Then I bought 10 more. My little condo started to look like a jungle. It was peaceful. And I traveled. I didn't go to Europe. I didn't need to see Paris or Rome. That was his dream. The one he was willing to trade me for. I wanted to see quiet. I took my first real vacation. Ever. I put in the time off request. It was approved. I got in my small, reliable car and I drove. I drove to Yellowstone. I went by myself. I stood on the edge of a canyon. It was September. The air was cold and sharp. And the only sound was the wind. There were no phones. No yelling. No, I need. No, give me. Just wind. I hiked. I hiked until my legs burned and my lungs ached. It was a good ache. It was an ache I chose. I stood there looking at a waterfall and I realized my world had been so small. It was just me and Dylan and the four walls of our apartments. It was a world of bills and arguments and sacrifice. Now the world was wide. It was huge. It was full of mountains and trees and bison and quiet coffee shops in small towns. I came back from that trip and I started making friends. It was awkward. I was 38 years old and I didn't know how to talk to people about nothing. I didn't know how to have a conversation that wasn't a crisis. I joined a hiking club. I showed up on a Saturday morning. There were people. They were nice. They asked me what I did. I told them. They asked me if I was married. I said no. They didn't ask why. They didn't pry. They just said, "Okay, cool. Did you see the trail map?" One of them, a woman named Sarah, who was also quiet, invited me for coffee after a hike. I almost said no. My instinct was to go home, to be alone. But I said yes. We just talked. About books. About the bad movie we'd both seen. About her annoying cat. After an hour, I realized my shoulders weren't up by my ears. I wasn't waiting for the other shoe to drop. I wasn't waiting for her to ask me for money, or for help, or for a ride. She just wanted to talk. It was nice. It was the lightest I had ever felt. My life bloomed. It wasn't a big, loud explosion. It was like one of my new plants. It was quiet. It was slow. It was a little bit of new, green growth every single day. I would wake up on a Saturday. My apartment was clean. My bank account was full. My phone was silent. And I would just sit on my balcony in my comfortable robe, drink my good coffee, and listen to the birds. I thought about them sometimes. Dylan. Haley. I thought about the chaos. The screaming. The "you're pathetic." The silk robe. The endless, bottomless need they both had. I missed the idea of a brother. I missed the 14-year-old boy I thought I was protecting. But I missed nothing about the chaos I left behind. This new quiet? This was so much better. This was my life. And I was finally living it. The final step was the quietest one. It happened in pieces. It was about a year after the last phone call. I hadn't heard anything. Not a word. The number was blocked. My life was mine. I was in a bookstore, one of my new favorite places. I was just browsing. I saw a book on the psychology shelf. It was called Toxic Family Dynamics, a guide to enmeshment, parentification, and setting boundaries. I just stared at that title. Parentification. That was the word. The word for what happened to me. I wasn't a sister. I was a parentified child. I picked it up. I bought it. I went home to my clean, quiet condo. I made a cup of tea. And I read the entire thing in one night. I read about the rescuer role. The person who needs to be needed, who builds their entire identity around saving someone else. I read about the victim role. The person who uses learned helplessness to avoid all responsibility. I read about enmeshment, where one person's feelings end and the other's begin is blurry. There are no boundaries. I realized I had done it all by accident. I had been playing a part in a sick play for 15 years. I was the rescuer. He was the victim. Haley was just a new character who wanted my role. And by saying no, I hadn't just set a boundary. I had ended the play. I had walked off the stage. I realized I had to clean house. A few days later, I opened my laptop. I still had Facebook, though I rarely used it. I was just curious. I logged in, and a notification popped up. A memory. A photo from 6 years ago. It was me and Dylan at a Thanksgiving dinner. He had his arm around me. We were both smiling. He looked so young. Happy. Before Haley. Before the brand. My stomach hurt. I felt that old, familiar pull. My boy. My little brother. Look how happy he was. Where did I go wrong? I stared at the picture. I stared at his smile. And I thought, that was a lie. He wasn't smiling because he loved me. He was smiling because he was safe. Because I was paying for everything. He was smiling because his mom was there to handle it. I wasn't his sister. I was his provider. And the second someone else offered him a better deal, a life with an influencer who would make him feel like a man, he took it. He threw me away like trash. The boy in that picture was not real. He was a character I had helped create. A character who never had to grow up. I closed the picture. I went to my settings. I didn't just deactivate my account. I requested a full, permanent deletion. Are you sure? All your photos, your posts, your memories. Everything will be gone forever. Good, I whispered. I clicked confirm. I went to my phone. I went to my photos. I had hundreds of them. Of him. I looked at each one. Him, at his high school graduation, holding his diploma. I was in the background, looking tired but smiling. Him, at his first football game, in his uniform. I was on the bleachers holding a Go Dylan sign I'd made. Him, at his 21st birthday, at a dinner I paid for. Him, at his college graduation, in his cap and gown. The one of us as kids with Mom. I looked at that one for a long time. Mom was in the middle. I was on one side. He was on the other. We were a family. I felt a sharp pain, like cutting off a phantom limb. Then I pressed delete. I went to the next one. Delete. And the next. Delete. It was a purge. It took an hour. I deleted every trace of him from my digital life. This wasn't anger. It was cleaning. It was sweeping out the last of the dust. I didn't want any more memories popping up, trying to pull me back into a story that was over. I poured my energy into my new life. I started taking a yoga class. It was hard. I was stiff. But the instructor would always end the class with the same phrase. Let go of what does not serve you. I would lie on the mat in the dark, breathing, and I would feel the last bits of him just fade. I started volunteering. I had spent 15 years giving everything to one person who didn't appreciate it. Now I gave 2 hours every Saturday to an animal shelter. I walked dogs. Dogs who had been abandoned. They were so happy. They just wanted a walk. They just wanted a treat. They didn't want my bank account. They didn't want my soul. They just wanted my time. It was giving, with no strings. It felt good. I traveled more. I went to the beach. I sat and read a book for 5 days straight. I went to Chicago and looked at art. And I had the final, most important thought. I was sitting on my balcony. It was a Sunday morning. The sun was coming up over the lake. It was quiet. I was drinking my good coffee. I was thinking about Dylan. I wondered where he was. Was he on the street? Did he get a job? Did he die? A little piece of guilt, a little ghost, tried to sneak in. You abandoned him. You're a bad sister. You're a monster. You ruined his life. Mom would be so ashamed. I took a sip of my coffee. And I said out loud to the empty air. No. I did not ruin his life. I didn't take away his job. He did that. I didn't choose his wife. He did that. I didn't cheat on him. She did that. I didn't run up $18,000 in credit card debt. They did that. I didn't tell him to stand by, silent, while his new wife called me pathetic. He chose that. All I did was stop paying for it. All I did was step out of the way. I didn't ruin Dylan. I simply stopped rescuing him. And without me there to be the safety net, his own choices, his own weakness, his own greed, his own cruelty, finally caught up to him. He didn't fall. He just hit the ground he had been standing on all along. I just wasn't there to cushion it anymore. It was not my fault. It was not my responsibility. I let go. I felt the last knot in my stomach, the one that had been there for 15 years, just dissolve. I finished my coffee, and I went inside to plan my next hike. So that's my story. It's not a happy story. There's no big reunion. There's no apology. It's just a true one. It took me 15 years and a betrayal so deep I thought I would never recover, just to learn one simple thing. Boundaries are not cruelty. They are survival. I gave up my youth, my dreams, my education, and my future for someone. And in the end, it wasn't enough. Because for people like him, it is never, ever enough. The more you give, the more they take. The more you rescue, the more they need to be rescued. I had to let him go to save myself. Some of you watching this will call me the villain. I know that. You'll say I'm cold, that I abandoned my family, that I'm a monster for not taking that phone call. But I know some of you understand. Some of you right now are the Brooke in your own story. You're the one paying the bills. You're the one taking the late night crying phone calls. You're the one setting yourself on fire to keep someone else warm. And you are so tired. So I want to ask all of you who are watching this. What would you have done in my place? Am I the villain for saying no? Or was I a fool for saying yes for so long? Tell me your thoughts. Tell me your own stories in the comments below. I read every single one. And if you've ever felt like this, if you've ever felt like you were drowning while trying to save someone else, please hit like and subscribe. You're not alone.